Hello, this is Sudhakar Moparthi. Today we're going to talk about SSL TLS Handshake, how a client application talks to a server endpoint and gets the response. So this side we will represent the client interactions, and this side we will represent server actions. So the first thing that a client application does is it prepares that request and posts to the endpoint. This is a OpenAI endpoint. So this I'm taking an example of a chat GPT integration, and this is our skill bank app. There is an object, and from that, and we will post to the server OpenAI endpoint. The first thing it does is it needs to make sure that this request is good and the communications channel is established. So it will first send the handshake process begins. So here it will send, the server will send a public key. So basically it sends the public, the certificate containing the public key. The client verifies, the server on which the client application is running verifies that it is a good certificate. And if it is a good certificate, then it will send a encrypted, it creates a pre-master key and then sends it to the server, encrypted pre-master key. Once I have the encrypted pre-master key, with what it is encrypted, with using the public key that is sent, the server sends the public key and then it uses this public key and encrypts a pre-master key and then sends it back to the server. Then the server will decrypt the pre-master key using its private key. The server has the private key. And then from the decrypted pre-master key, so it gets the pre-master key. And the server will compute independently a shared secret. So similarly here, it has the public key and it uses that information and computes a shared secret. And then it uses that shared secret and sends a message to the server. And then the server also can use that shared secret and then understand this message. So both client and from then onwards, that completes your handshake. Is this successful? Yes. So both server and client will say yes, it is successful. If at any point of time, if the certificate is not good, what is sent by the server, then the client will say the handshake itself is not successful. So it won't even proceed further. It won't even send that messages. Same thing if it didn't get uh, anything that on the server side happens, that acknowledgement will not go. This is not computed this is not decrypted, or this is not computed properly. Suppose, if the client encrypted with using some other thing, then obviously the server will reject. So there are cases where SSL handshake itself will fail. Let's say the server sends an expired certificate. Public key is expired. Then Is it a good certificate? No. So fails. Success handshake fails. So this message is then this shared secret is not shared. This shared secret cannot be computed at that point, this object, and so server and client cannot communicate. It has to be successful at that point. Both have shared secret, and all subsequent messages will be communicated using that shared secret. Using that, they will encrypt, and both of them will decrypt. So only in the initial handshake uses that public key certificate. So that's what is happening in SSL handshake. Hope that makes sense. I would like to hear your comments, how handshake works, and if you like these kind of diagrams explaining, and then visually you just have to see and follow the arrows. Maybe you will quickly get that into your brain. So the reason why I do these circles is to fire those corresponding neurons in your brain. So visually, it should be very clean. The client app trying to communicate, send messages to the server, and server is trying to communicate to the client so that they can both talk, communication channel. So I want to highlight the certificate needs to be good. The public key has to be sent to the client, and then the client has to compute the shared secret. On the server side, the server has to send that public key, and it has to receive the encrypted pre-master, and it should decrypt, and then it should compute using that decrypted thing, the shared secret. Only then both acknowledged, then the handshake is completed. All right, that's all I have for today. Join, subscribe, and we will do a lot more of these. Thank you. Have a nice Friday.